Barber Board is now in session. Please stand, and we'll have the prayer first.
It is in the name of Jesus, God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this board and all that make up this board. God, we pray that you'll be with us and allow us to do your will and your way. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Now we'll have the pledge to the United States flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now roll call, starting with Cecil.
Donald Collins.
J.B. Long.
Mather Jones. Larry High.
South Bay. We have a quorum. In fact, we have all persons. Now, I'm sure you've had a chance to read the minutes, and if there's any additions or deletions, we can do it now. If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next on the agenda is to appear before the board, Mr. Warren Samuel. Okay, and
yes, Mr. Samuel wants to request the board to waive his late fee. His Master Barber renewal was due in 2010, and he did not pay in 2010, so his late fees as of 2012 are $480 along with his renewal, and he's requesting that the board waive those fees. If you'll speak into the mic, Mr. Stevens.
Yes, good morning. My name is Warren Samuel. How are you all?
Good.
First of all, I want to thank you all for allowing me to come before you today. Second of all, I want to thank you for the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. I feel like I'm back in the United States again. Didn't know they did that anywhere anymore, but that was really, really heart-touching. My license, I've been a barber here in Nashville for about 23 years. I had a alarm set to renew my license on the 28th of February, and it alarmed me on the 27th of February. Well, that year, 28th fell on a Sunday. So when I did get the alert on Saturday, of course it was already Saturday and nothing was open. And I did come on Monday, I guess that was the 1st, and I don't feel like I got consideration that the 28th fell on a Sunday and was nothing open. State buildings anyway.
okay, board members, any questions?
What happened between then and now?
Between then and now, I had a minimum wage job. I didn't have the monies at the time. I only had the $80 to pay it. When they told me that it doubled to $160, I really didn't have that. And I've been on a downhill spiral since then. Unemployment for 2 years, just barely getting by. Homeless, the whole 9 yards. And right now, I'm trying to get my license back to get a job.
Okay, Larry, you.
I was just wondering, that due date, it fails on
Sunday.
a Sunday. Do we have any kind of proof that he came to the board on that Monday? Do we have any kind of proof of that he did come here on a Monday? Do we have any kind of proof that he tried to?
There's nothing in the notes in our system. Sometimes people will write notes, sometimes they won't. It just depends on how busy the day is. I don't know that if somebody comes in to pay to renew and they don't pay, that we put a note, such and such came in to pay. But if there's some contention, like that they asked for a waiver and they were denied, sometimes Miss Betty, who is the renewal desk, she runs every renewal in the board office, will put that into the system. But in this case, we don't have anything.
Do you recall who you spoke with on the 28th, on that Monday when you came here? Do you recall who you spoke to?
No, I don't recall who I spoke to.
I have a question. I need to get the dates correct on it. That the license was due for renewal when?
2010.
Okay, and so nothing has been done in 2 years.
That's correct.
Okay. And Mr. Samuel, is that correct, Mr. Samuel?
Right, it was due on February 28th,
Okay. Of 2010.
2010.
So-
Well, that's what they told me, because I came back when I approached again to
Did
get
you
my
know
license.
that they were due in 2010?
Oh, yes, I knew they were due. The only problem I had was when my alarm alarmed me on the 27th that I needed to pay it on the 28th, it was Saturday the 28th, and the state...
This was 2010?
Yes.
Okay. And now we're in 2012.
Yes.
And you're saying the reason why you have not renewed your license is,
They kept doubling it, and I didn't have the monies to pay them. I really don't have $480 now, and I'm
Okay.
trying to get a job as I'm unemployed.
okay.
I was on unemployment. I had a entry-level minimum wage job since then, but it ran out, and then the unemployment ran out, and when the unemployment even kicked in, it wasn't enough to carry me to be able to pay the fees and to survive and try to keep a roof over my head.
Okay, and you finished barber school here in Tennessee?
Yes, sir. International Barber College up in Madison, Tim and Duncan.
Well, my only concern is, and I understand your dilemma. I can understand how you can fall victim to the economy. I understand that. But my only issue is it's been like 2 years,
Yes.
and you haven't had any funds to try to renew your license in 2 years.
They kept doubling.
Right. Well, obviously they will
Right.
if you don't renew them. So, I'll just wait and hear what other board members have to say before I determine what I think.
Joe, you're since the license goes 2 years, that's one term really.
Okay.
And you're owing 400.
That's what they said, $480.
Okay. Thank you.
How does that get to be $480?
It doubles again per the rule.
I was a little appalled at that because I think it was 2 years and 480 or half of that, 240.
If reinstatement of a certificate of registration pursuant to 200-1-.11 under fees is, if more than 2 years but less than 3 years, $480.
Does this board really have a right? Is that just a rule or a TCA?
This is a rule.
Okay, everything is a rule.
Yes, this is a
Can the
rule.
board waive? Can the board waive that?
I think it's up to the board's discretion to waive these things for hardships. But in this case, and I've advised Mr. Samuel that if he waits until February, he'll have to retest. And it's going to be cheaper if he just retests to get his application as opposed to paying renewal fees that triple. And that's another way that he could get his license, and it would be substantially less.
Okay, just waiting till February.
Yes, and retesting, because if you wait longer than 3 years,
But would,
you have to retest.
okay, would he have to do theory and practical?
I think he has to do law and practical.
Yeah. Law and practical.
Okay,
So the theory, no, but the law and
okay.
practical.
How long has it been since you've been out of school?
when I was in school, I graduated in 90, 91.
Lots of changes been made since then.
Yeah, he should be able to pass the law
The law.
on the practical.
In the practical.
Yeah.
Practical hasn't changed that much since the 90s.
Okay, I'm through.
I think we should give him an option to either take the law and the practical over, listening to his hardship and his statement that he came on that Monday and tried to renew his license. Just my opinion, I think that we should at least cut that 480 to 240, or either give him the option of taking the test over, either or.
It keeps going on. Why does it keep going on there, though?
Do you have a consistent income?
No, I'm unemployed. That's what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
trying to eat today and tomorrow.
Okay.
Uh,
Yes. Well, that solves that problem right there.
Yeah.
It would be to his benefit, I would think, to just retest. You take the law portion and the practical.
How much would the retest cost versus
How much would retest?
how much? 140 versus 240.
I think the testing fee is $170.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you
170
Is that right?
versus
400.
240.
It could have been.
It's not in yet. I was saying that from his hardship, and he said that he did come in on a Monday, and
That should be takes a full test.
yeah.
Be 170 if he takes a full test.
Right.
If he just takes the law and the practical,
But it's less.
would not be that much.
No.
I'm not familiar with those fees as much as I am the other fees. It's set by the contract with
Right.
PSI, so I'd have to look at their website. We just need a motion, to approve or deny his request or whatever else is.
Any further discussion? If not, we need a motion.
I still say we should give him the option what he would prefer, one or the other. Retesting or paying a fee of $240, cut it in half because of his hardship, and said that he did come in on that Monday. So by what I'm hearing, I think that we should at least cut it in half at 480 to 240, or give him the option to take the practical and the law test on either one.
Okay, we have a motion.
I do have a question.
Well, just a minute. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir. I'm 2 years behind. I didn't understand how I got all the way to 480. I think it was 80 for me to pay on that day. And
No, it doubles. And
Right. Pursuant to the fee rule, if you're familiar with the Barber laws and rules, which is part of what you'll test on if you test, under 200-1-.11, the reinstatement, if you're over a year, if you're more than 2 years but less than 3 years, your fee is $480. So the length of time that goes by, your fee will increase up to $480. By the time you get up to 3 years, you just have to retest. Well, you are more than 2 years at this point because it was 2 years in February of 2012. So when February rolls around, which is a few months from now, then you'll be up to 3 years and you'll have to retest. So regardless of the board's decision today, you'll have to retest when February comes around if you wait to pay.
So if he wait to February, he have to take the retest, and that's the whole total.
It's the law and the practical, not the
No,
theory.
no, okay, not the theory, just the law and the practice.
Yes.
If you wait to February, okay.
I
Yes.
have to wait till February to do that?
Yeah.
The board hadn't made a decision yet.
I think a motion was put on the floor there in second that.
Yeah.
You have a choice. You
This
can
is
either-
just discussion on the motion.
Either or, right.
Right.
Now.
So they haven't voted yet. There was a motion and a second. They have to.
This is discussion on the motion.
I understand. What I'm trying to do is get in the shop and get some monies coming in ASAP. this is what, November, December, January,
What?
February. February is kind of like 3 months away. Do I have, the question I was asking, do I have to wait until February to?
Well,
take
if this motion passed, you will have a choice to wait till February and take the practical and the law test over. Either you can pay $248 and start cutting right away. That's your choice. That's your option.
Now, that's a motion,
That's
a
a motion,
second,
but it haven't passed.
and we've had the discussion. Now we'll have the vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried.
So, Mr. Samuel, you can either pay a $240 fee to renew your barber license today or anytime up until February, when on February the 28th, when 3 years comes, you'll have to retest.
I can't retest until the 3 years come.
Yes.
Well, I'm saying I can't retest.
Right.
I gotta wait
Right.
until February.
Yes. That was the board's motion, yes.
But if you want to get your license before that, you bring the board $240 and you can start cutting right away. They cut the 240 and I cut the 480 in half, 240.
And then if you retest, you still gotta pay for
Yeah, you got to pay something to retest.
pay for it.
Right,
Fees for that.
you'll have to pay the fee to retest, which I believe is $170, but we can give you, when February rolls around, the information, or today, the information on retesting. And at the front desk of the board office, she can give you the application for examination for reinstatement of your license.
Okay, that'll, of course, be your decision, and we appreciate you coming before the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, next is the administrative report, application for examinations.
You all have this on your iPad right after your minutes, so if you scroll through the minutes you approved, applications for examination should be subsequent to that. We have applications for examination from Sean Gibson, from Brian Hilton, from Jared Lamont House, from Stanley Lane, Elgin James McFerrin, Lamont Eugene Harris, and that is it. They all have felonies, and all the required information has been submitted for each, including the disclosure from the student and a letter of recommendation from the school attended.
Okay, we have the applications. They all have felonies, but they, at this point, they have fulfilled the requirements to make application. So we need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we do this, handle this exactly like we always handle our felonies, put them on a 2-year probation.
Unlisted number, I don't have it for me. Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried.
For some reason our iPads are a little out of order, so I'm going to mix up the order of the agenda. The consent orders for November are on the iPad next after the applications for examination. There are 2 and they total $1,250. We just need a motion to approve those consent orders.
Okay, we need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried.
And And next we have my case report. I apologize if this is so out of order. I think the iPad scrambled this morning, kind of threw off our agenda.
That's the way with those computers. They get everything mixed up.
Application for,
Examination was
examination for
first, and then
instructor.
So is that here?
we are on. Let's see. There's our case report. That's actually what we're going to go to next. The
Okay.
attorney case report. We're not
Okay.
going by the agenda today because the
Okay.
iPads are out of order. Yeah, you were right. Consent orders. Now there's the
Okay.
case report.
Okay.
You're right. That's in the right place. Let's see, girl. Keep going. I think you're almost there. These are the letters from the applicants for examination. Yeah, keep going. There was the consent orders. Now one more over, and there we go. We're on the legal case report. I'm sorry, guys.
Can you make that any bigger?
You can. You got to do this.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, and if you want to read it this way,
Okay.
just do this or that.
Okay.
However big you like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. So we're going to do my case report. The November 19th, 2012 legal report. We have a matter to represent, 2012-02120-1. This matter was previously presented at October 15th, 2012 board meeting as follows. In August 31st, 2012, notice of violation alleges the area inspector observed unclean floors, mirrors, and workstations in a licensed barber shop. The area inspector also observed uncovered trash cans and dust, dirt, and buildup. Further, the inspector observed a master barber servicing a client with an expired license. The board's decision was to authorize a formal hearing with authority to settle by consent order with payment of a $500 civil penalty. A request for reconsideration was sent to legal counsel along with a response from the owner of the respondent shop stating that the master barber in question did not service any clients at the time of the inspection or his working tools were visible, nor was he servicing clients prior to the inspector's visit, and that he suspended his work until he was renewing his license. The owner further states that he always obeyed the law as well as ensured that anyone who works for him abides by the rules. Because of this, because he has been in the master barber business for 15 years without a citation. The recommendation is to close with a letter of warning relative to sanitation.
There's only one thing in there that throws me.
Yes.
He suspended his work.
Meaning he said he stopped working while his
He was
license.
written a citation for
No.
working
I think until
without a
he
license.
renewed. I think until his renewal was complete. That was my understanding of it.
His working tools were visible. He was not serving clients, and that he suspended his work until he renewed his license.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds to me like he was working.
Well, the inspector states that he observed the master barber servicing a client with an expired license. Here's my question. On your recommendation, close with a letter of warning relative to sanitation. So that means that we're just giving a warning concerning sanitation, but deal with the issue of the master barber working without a license. Is that? I just want to be clear on that.
My understanding of this is it's a he said, she said, with the
Yeah.
inspector says one
Yeah.
thing and the
Yeah.
client says the other.
Yeah.
And he leans on the fact that he's been working for 15 years and he's never had a citation. This is his first citation, and a $500 civil penalty would be very dire to his business. It would be very drastic. So he was requesting a reconsideration. He didn't deny that there were uncovered trash cans. He was objecting to the fact that he was working while his license was expired.
Okay.
But
So-
the inspector, my understanding is, you said that he said, she said.
Yes.
Now, what did the inspector say?
It says he observed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never actually worked.
Yeah, he said he
We're
observed.
gonna back the inspector.
Observe.
Right, we have to.
Observe a
Yeah,
master
observe
barber.
master barber,
Was it
observe.
this one or somebody, was it another?
It says.
Right, there's no
inspector observed master
name in
barber
the notice
servicing
of
clients.
violation. He
With an
doesn't list
expired
the
license.
barber's name. He just says one male barber whose license was expired.
Yeah.
But it would be a he said, she said, should it come to a formal.
Well, I'm inclined to
Yeah.
to believe the inspectors. We have to back our inspectors, as JB was saying, we have to back our
That's
inspectors.
exactly right.
But I'm still, Rachel, I'm still confused because on your recommendation, are you just dealing with the sanitation issue and not the issue of the master barber service? Or are we dealing with all of it?
We're dealing with all of it. It was
Okay.
just my contention. If it came to a formal hearing and it's a he said, she
Right,
said,
right.
the judge is going to look at what is clear facts
Yeah.
proven,
Yeah.
and that's how they're going to weigh the evidence. And in this case, I tried to do the same relative to sanitation. But it's up to the board. We can keep the prior recommendation or change it to something new. It's completely up to you all.
We've got to rely on our inspectors,
Yeah.
and if the
But we pay
inspector
'em.
writes it down, or
We don't back them up,
Yeah,
these people
that's
walk
right.
all over.
That's exactly right.
At one time, we,
Inspector said,
other barbers in the shop was getting away with servicing, doing work, and the owner was not being responsible for the person working for them. If the inspector observed another barber, the way it stated here, further, the inspector observed a master barber serving a client with an expired license. If there was another barber in this particular shop working for this other person, this owner should be responsible somehow for
Yeah.
having a barber there working without a license. So at least we should be able to do something about that, along with the unsanitary condition. Even if the other.
it'd be my suggestion if we take it as a whole and then do what we feel is necessary.
I agree.
Okay, we need a motion.
I like the motion that we let the decision that was made prior to this stand with the $500 penalty.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried.
Thank you. I enjoyed that. Okay, case number 2 is a new case. It is case number 2012-02137-1. A September 19th, 2012 consumer complaint alleges the respondent does not have a valid license to work full-time as a barber in a local shop. The complaint further alleges the respondent overcharges customers and acts in an unprofessional manner. No response to the complaint has been received as of this date. Board office records indicate the respondent does not hold a valid board-issued license. The recommendation is to issue a cease and desist advisory notice with a request for the area inspector to visit the respondent and shop. Case number 3, 2012-02477-1. On October 18th, 2012, notice of violation alleges that during the shop inspection, the area inspector observed a copy of a master barber license posted at the workstation. Further, the inspector observed no shop license displayed in the shop. No services were being provided at the time of inspection. The recommendation is to close with a letter of warning. Case number 4, 2012. I'm sorry.
Let me withdraw just a minute.
Sure.
I believe we're sending out maybe too many letters of, just a letter, where some of these really deserve a fine. I'm not
Yeah,
sure that we
because-
shouldn't discuss.
Right.
Do we want to discuss them
Because if
individually?
we're rendering service, we know we need a shop permit.
That's right.
I totally agree.
Are we talking about number 2 or number 3?
Both.
Number 2 was a consumer complaint. So first, my recommendation is to send the inspector out to ensure it's a valid consumer complaint, because we've done no investigation besides a
Okay.
consumer sending a letter in. So that's why we would send a cease and desist letter and then ask the inspector to follow up in order to determine the validity of the complaint.
Okay, that's good.
That's
A
good.
follow-up
Oh, yeah.
inspection.
Right. Yeah.
Now,
But number 3,
Number
Yeah.
3, no services were being provided at the time of inspection, so it may have been that the inspector just walked in, nothing's going on, nobody's in the shop, and he observes a copy and then no shop license displayed, but no services are being provided. So my contention on that is that we just need to send them a letter of warning to ensure that they do have a shop license pursuant to our information, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they do have a shop license.
It just wasn't displayed.
It just wasn't
Oh,
displayed.
okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Should I go on?
No.
Okay. Number 4, case number 2012-02479-1. On October 23, 2012, notice of violation alleges the area inspector observed 2 licensed master barbers cutting hair in an unlicensed barber shop. The inspector also observed 3 licensed stylists practicing on clients in a shop which holds a valid cosmetology license, according to the inspector. Board office records indicate the shop does not hold a valid board-issued license. The recommendation is to authorize a formal hearing with authority to settle by consent order with payment of a $500 civil penalty and a cease and desist advisory notice. Case number 2012-02485-1. On October 24, 2012, notice of violation reports that the shop was open for business while the shop owner's license, also the manager, was expired. The inspector further reports the owner of the shop was absent in inspection time. No services were being provided during the inspection. Board office records indicate the shop license expired on 10/31 of 2012. The recommendation is to issue a cease and desist advisory notice.
Now, what about that? Do we,
But if the owner was not there and there was no services being
Right.
provided during the inspection, I don't think really that just give them a chance to get that license renewed and probably send the inspector back.
I think we need a re-inspection real soon on that,
Okay.
because it looks like there's a lot of laxness going on.
Mm-hmm.
A whole bunch.
Somebody
Yeah.
might be seeing the inspector come in and take
And then
off.
take off.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'll issue a cease and desist advisory notice with the inspector to follow up within 30 days of the date of the letter.
Right,
I have a question about number 4, though. On number 4, the barber, it's a barber shop and a cosmetology shop. And those are 2 different licenses, correct?
Yes.
Now, if a barber shop was caught in violation, it would bring a $500 fine. So we're talking about 2 different businesses, 2 different licenses. Shouldn't it be a little more than $500?
Well, we only regulate the barber side. If a cosmetology
fine-
notice of
this-
violation was written, it
This
would
fine
also
is
be
only
brought.
dealing with the barber side then.
The inspector may have written a consecutive notice of violation for the cosmetology board to consider.
Okay.
But they have a cosmetology shop.
They have a cosmetology
Shop license, yeah.
but they don't have a barber.
Barber
license.
license.
Oh, I
They
see,
got
I
barbers
see.
working there.
Okay, right there, barber, okay, I see, I understand, yeah.
So until it's
$500.
licensed as a barber shop,
Right.
that's like working without a license.
Without a
Yeah,
license, that's correct.
$500 fine.
That's
Okay.
correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Case number 6, 2012-02487-1. An October 10th, 2012 notice of violation alleges the shop was open for business with no visible sign posted. The inspector also observed the owner of the shop's license, which was expired, posted at the workstation. No services were being provided at the inspection time. This shop has a pending case where the board previously authorized a formal hearing with authority to settle by consent order and a payment of a $500 civil penalty. The recommendation is to combine this case with the other case and authorize a formal hearing.
I think we want to combine it and double it.
Okay, we can take that case out separate if you want to make a motion on that.
Well, I'm just talking for the board's benefit.
Okay.
I think, we've already fined him $500 and paid no attention to it, so
Yeah.
let's double it.
Okay, do you want to put that in the motion?
Any comments, guys?
Let me read this.
Any further comments? Larry, Joe?
No.
Trying to get a good understanding on this here.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand it too.
Okay.
Explain 6 over again, please.
I-6 again?
Yeah.
There was a previous case where the board recommended a formal hearing with a $500 civil penalty. It's currently still open. The shop has not settled the case, and it's been open. Hold on, let me look. Do you have the previous one? Oh. It's been open for more than 30 days because it's with our litigation counsel. When we send consent orders out, the shop has a 30-day timeline in order to accept the proposed consent order. Right, so in this case, when it's presented for litigation, the litigation counsel can ask for up to $1,000 per violation. So we're not going to send a new consent order out. It's going to go to formal regardless of if you recommend to increase the penalty or not. That's what our recommendation is. So combining the cases and authorizing a formal hearing, the litigation counsel is going to request up to $1,000 fine per violation when he files the case against the respondent.
So that'll be automatic?
Yes.
Okay.
When he files his litigation complaint, he'll state every matter with a requested penalty when he argues his case.
So he has a case.
Without us voting on the increase, they would automatically increase.
Well, you can vote to propose a new civil penalty and create a new case, but this just propounds the evidence in the first case. So we're requesting to combine them so there's just one case matter as opposed to two.
I go along with Ralph. I say anywhere from $250 to $500 increase. Anywhere from $250 to $500.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
And
We got to get
So
Do you want us,
some kind of way.
the procedure is that if you increase, we have to send a new proposed consent order out for them to be able to settle. Right now, it's going to formal charges.
It's going to formal charges, and the formal charges are going to be for $1,000.
Per violation.
Per violation.
Per
Okay.
violation.
It'd be better off to let it go.
Let it go, right.
Right, exactly.
So if you want to increase his penalty and have him answer sooner, it's better off for them to go to formal charges as opposed to offering another settlement offer.
Yeah.
That'd be better.
Okay.
That'd be better.
So we're going to keep that one as is?
Yeah.
As is.
Keep it as is.
Yes, yeah.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Can we get a motion to approve the full legal report with the changes on
Motion made
number?
to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried.
Does anybody have anything after their legal report? No. My iPad doesn't either.
don't
So
have
much for
anything.
sending them back
I don't
up.
have anything. Nope.
So we sent them back up for no reason. Okay. Well, I'll just go over what I have with you all in detail. If you have questions or we need to see. Did you have something on yours, Frank?
No, I'll just back up.
Oh,
with
you're
this,
back at the beginning.
We're right here, right?
Okay.
Right here. In the right place.
We all done.
Right. She didn't load anything else after we sent them back up.
We all done.
So much for waiting to send them up. We do have more business, and I can either present it by reading you all, or we can take a break and I can make a copy of everything.
Now, let's just,
Okay.
you read it to us. Is this under legal or other business?
It's under administrative report. We're going back up.
Oh, okay. All
Okay.
right.
I don't have a copy in mine either, so I'm just going by my paperwork. Okay, we have a reciprocity application from Shalab Abdul Rodriguez from the from the Nefertiti Institution in Rampula, which is in Palestine. Mr. Rodriguez has 2,000 training hours pursuant to his application. And I could pass both the application and the hours around. The blue and the white are the same thing. If you want a copy, pass that. And this is just a general master barber application for approval by the board with the 2,000 hours pursuant to the Nefertiti Institution in Rampula, Palestine.
Are we on reciprocity with Palestine?
Oh, we don't have any specific rules or laws with regards to accepting reciprocity applications for out of the country.
Yeah.
That's why this is going to the board for approval. Hazel, did yours have your thing on it? Yours didn't on your
Is he applying for master barber license?
Yes.
I know. I know.
I want to commend you on your pronunciation of all these
Yeah.
words.
That's what this is right here.
That's a copy of
The blue and the white are the same. Y'all
Yeah.
have.
The blue and white, these are both the
No,
same?
no, those
no.
are different. That
Right
way.
there.
Okay.
So you have the application and the transcript in your hand.
What is he asking?
He's asking for approval of the reciprocity application for a barber license, for master barber license. And he has 2,000 hours of instruction pursuant to that transcript.
What, and we have no,
In cosmetology.
we have no rules pertaining to reciprocity with a foreign country.
We do not. So,
So it's up to the
board.
board to either grant it or not.
Right. Or the board can request that you test.
Yes,
It's, whatever the decision is.
practical theory or both.
I didn't see anything in those 2,000 hours dealing with sanitation.
Okay.
And that's why I got a problem
Yes.
with sanitation.
You're right about that.
Especially with health and sanitation being our backbone.
Exactly.
He went to cosmetology school, now he wants to be a barber. I disagree.
I have to totally disagree.
You're right.
How can he go to cosmetology school and become a barber?
Okay, we need a motion.
I make a motion that his request be denied.
Send it to cosmetology.
Yeah, stay with the cosmetology.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried.
Send him to cosmetology.
Yeah.
Go back.
Okay, next we have an application for reciprocity for a barber license for April Finstra, and she actually was a Louisiana licensed cosmetologist that tested to receive her Louisiana barber license, and she did not take the written exam, but she did take a practical exam and passed. And I'll pass around her application as well as her Louisiana certification.
So, all of this took place in Louisiana?
Yes.
Okay.
And it seems she has a Louisiana cosmetology license, and that Louisiana's laws between barber and cosmetology may be that you can just test to take the practical for barbering in order to get your barber license once you complete your cosmetology license.
And she only took the test for the barber license, the practical part of it?
Yes, I believe that's all.
Yes, I see it. Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry that we're having to pass things around, guys. I really sent the iPad back up for it to be scanned
That's
into it.
okay.
We're doing it.
I'm just glad I had all my paperwork organized in order to be able to do it this way.
So she went to school under cosmetologist, never went to barber school.
Right. She was a licensed cosmetologist in Louisiana and took the Louisiana practical for being a barber and passed, and they allowed her to have her barber's license.
And different states have different laws.
Yes.
The laws of Tennessee is totally different from Louisiana. In the state of Tennessee, we are required to go to barber college in order to become a barber. So I would have to deny her request because she did not get those hours in barber college.
Okay, is that a motion, Larry?
That is definitely a motion.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Well, can I?
Gentlemen,
And then I'll just make a statement after that.
Yeah, give a second, and then do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second, now, discussion.
Okay, can we make a recommendation that, okay, if you want to be a barber in the state of Tennessee, the state of Louisiana says she's already passed practical, could we recommend that she go back to school and maybe take the theory part and then pass that? I mean,
I
rather
wouldn't
than just,
necessarily recommend you go back to school,
Yeah.
because nobody wants her. That's a school person.
yeah, so she would have to go back to school and just do the whole 1,500 hours.
She just needs to take that practical test, the written test.
Right.
But she's making an application for a barber, and on here she's got to check that her barber license is expired.
Right.
How you going to give her a barber license if her barber license is expired?
Right. So the recommendation would be that she didn't go back, just go back to Bible school here in Tennessee and just do the whole 1,500 hours, rather than just working on the theory part.
I don't want her in my school. She's a guard cutter.
What do you mean, Red?
Usually nothing but guards.
Pardon me?
Usually nothing but guards.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, they go down to Walmart and buy them a $15 package of guards and call themselves barbers.
So it'd be
Okay,
best for
well,
her
what do
to
we
just,
need for?
And I don't want my school, because my school don't teach guards.
so it'd be best for her to just go to Bible school in Tennessee and just do the whole 1,500 hours.
Well, in Tennessee, isn't it 750 hours if you're a cosmetologist and want to become a barber?
I think so.
She'll have to get a certification of her hours in order to prove that along with the transfer.
Exactly.
You have to get Tennessee certification.
She's going to have
before she can do
certification
anything.
that she's been to barber school.
So you want to prove that from the state of Louisiana, that she has so many hours in
From
barbering.
cosmetology in
Oh,
order to
cosmetology,
transfer it to the
okay.
barbering curriculum.
She has to
Okay.
do that.
Rachel, here's the thing you got to watch about Louisiana.
Okay.
Anybody coming in Louisiana, they are crooked as a barrel of snakes down there. Okay, they used to send people to Alabama, give them a $10 work permit, send them on to Louisiana, transfer that work permit to a Louisiana license, send them back to Tennessee and wash it out. For $2,500, if you get on the bus and make that circle. And we put a stop to it back in the later part of the 90s. First part of 2000, I think it was. Remember that?
Yeah, sure do.
You gotta watch people coming here from Louisiana and Alabama.
If I'm not mistaken, if you have completed cosmetology school and you want to become a barber, you wouldn't have to do the whole 1,500 hours. You do 750 hours.
Right.
So that would be my recommendation, that if she would have to do 750 hours of barbering.
But
Some
you
of them
got to
50 hours
prove
in
those
barber school.
hours, though.
Still got to prove the
You got to
hours.
prove those hours, though.
Yeah.
Well, she's got a cosmetology license. She'd have to get a cosmetology license in Tennessee.
Yeah, right. First of all,
And then she's qualified, then she qualifies for the 750-hour program.
Yeah,
So if she takes her Louisiana cosmetology license and gets her reciprocity, then she'll be approved for a 750-hour barber program.
okay.
Would you like me all to include that in the letter we
I
send
would.
her with the
Yeah.
denial?
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to restate this, and if you all approve, just say a motion to approve what I restate, a second, and then vote on it. That we recommend that she obtain her cosmetology license via reciprocity, use that 750 hours
Yeah.
per her transcript from Louisiana to apply to become a master barber, in addition to obtaining the next 750 hours at a barber school in Tennessee.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
That's it.
Good job.
And,
Good job.
okay, we
Wait a
need
minute,
a motion
To approve that.
to approve.
Make a motion to approve your motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Any further
But,
discussion?
Yes, just one other thing. We stated a few minutes ago that she would have to get her cosmetologist license up to date before
Right.
we could issue. But I can't see it like that because once she have proven and she have 1,600 hours in the state of Louisiana, the only thing we would basically be concerned about is her getting that 750 hours of Barber.
Well, she's got to get reciprocity for the cosmetology
Okay,
and then
okay.
apply for the 750 hours. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's, and that's the motion.
It seemed like it's as though she could get reciprocity from us just on the Barber part though.
What?
Seems like because she have her hours in and it's a proven fact.
She just has her hours in cosmetology.
Cosmetology, right. So,
And that's what
she
she'd be getting her reciprocity.
right.
on
But seems like
cosmetology.
we could give her reciprocity to take just the 750 hours without dealing with the cosmetology. Seems like it could be done like that.
The law says you must have a license, a Tennessee state cosmetology license before you're granted the $750.
Yeah.
Additionally, we don't have proof of her hours, her cosmetology hours. That's a barber certification.
Yeah. See, this is a barber certification. There's no certification.
Okay.
Anything.
So in essence, she should apply for reciprocity
I
for
see. I understand.
cosmetology.
More.
And not us.
I see.
No, she wants a master barber license, so she wanted to apply to get her master barber license. Mr. High, can you pass that back around to me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried.
Okay. Now we
And don't
have.
give us any more hard ones.
The state of Colorado has a combo license. Barber cosmetology. When you come from there to here, you have to declare if you're going to be a cosmetologist or a barber. But that's a combo license. Louisiana doesn't have that.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, now we have one miscellaneous request, which is from Eunice Waller. She's requesting to waive her late fee because she got the envelope which she was supposed to send to the Barber Board confused from her insurance payment envelope.
So sorry.
And she sends a letter, and I'll read it to you also, we don't have to pass it around. She wishes the Tennessee Barber Board to waive her barber license fees. This was a human error with envelopes. She had the money order traced by the post office only to find out her insurance company cashed it. It was a simple mix-up, and she's normally very responsible, and she never intended to be late with her renewal. It's just one unfortunate situation that she hopes to have a favorable end to. She is a dialysis patient on a fixed income. First of all, she was looking for a second career. Her brother owned a barber shop, and he asked her to go to barbering school to help out with the family. She was glad to help. Secondly, she went through a lot of injustice just to finish. Some days she cried, but she made it. She went to Tennessee Tech, which is under the Board of Regents. Most barber schools are 8 or 9 months. This curriculum is a year and a half. Thirdly, she finished the state board test with flying colors. Her grades, she was the head of her class. She made close to a 90 on her theory and practical per her recollection. And she stood at the bus stop in the dark and had to catch 2 buses to get to class. Finally, for the future, you could make a notation that I'm to certify my renewal. She'll make a notation to certify her renewal. And she promises to send her renewal certified every time, and that it will never happen again. So she's just requesting to waive the late fee.
I really hate that.
So how much is your late fee?
It doubles from 80 to 160.
If she had some kind of way of proving that she accidentally sent it off in the wrong envelope, she had some kind of way of a trace on the money or something that we could go by.
She sent me a copy of her money order, and we looked for days to make sure we didn't get the money order because she thought she cashed it. She said, "It's cashed. You got it. I know you got it." And I spoke to the processing center looking for days for this payment because I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, and it turns out she sent it to the wrong address. So, you know, it obviously was her mistake, but it's up to you all to waive that late fee.
So you personally think that she actually sent it to the wrong address?
I do, but you know, everybody's responsible for their bills. I know the Comcast company is not going to make me waive my late fees because I accidentally sent it to NES, but that's up to the Barber board. I personally do not think you should waive it, but it's just my personal thoughts.
Okay, you've heard all the evidence. Now we need a motion.
Motion, we do not waiver.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried.
Okay.
We ask you not to give us any more.
Story. We've had it today.
Yes, we have.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I'm just going through and make sure I have presented everything because I don't want to
We
miss
feel like
anything.
Congress trying to decide the budget.
Taking care of business. Just think of it that way.
That was Elvis Presley's motto, TCB. Remember all the rings he had made? TCB.
Oh, here's one other thing. I'm sorry. It seems that it's been brought to my attention from the inspector meeting that we did, and I wanted to give you all an update on that as well, that annual inspections of barber schools and colleges can be performed by the inspectors, but inspections of new barber schools and colleges and inspections on change of a location or ownership of a barber school or college are supposed to be performed by board members only. Is that something we're doing now? Because I'm not sure that we are.
We have been.
It's done by a board member and an inspector.
Yeah. It's been in conjunction with
Okay.
an
Right,
inspector.
been done together.
So on change of ownership, on change of location and
And new.
And new shops.
Okay. Perfect.
Right.
Perfect. Okay, I just wanted to check that because since I haven't been in this long, there hasn't been a lot of those come by me, so I just wanted to make sure. Further,
We're here for advice.
the inspector meeting went great. We had it right in here. All the inspectors came. We sent them a list of requests for criticisms, comments, anything that they wanted to know about the laws and rules that they might be confused on. We had a full day of, in the morning was a question and answer session of the questions that they sent in for legal to review, along with proposing the new forms to them to see if they had any changes or recommendations to those. They were very happy with what the new forms are going to look like, and further, we passed them out labels with the board's website on them so they can hand them out to shops if the shops have any questions about the laws and rules and where to find them or where to get to renew online, where to go to. We also had IS, Information Systems, come and help with any questions on their phones and computers and systems. We then had an afternoon session and presented them notice of violation forms that we had comprised of notice of violation forms that they had written that were good and bad in order to give them examples of what litigation counsel can push through with a formal hearing, because some of them we just have to close because there's not enough information to go forward with a case, and they seem to have a really positive reception of those. They were really glad that we presented it that way, and they also kept those as forms to use for future recommendations. They seemed to be very happy with the whole day. We had a lot of good questions and answers, and I learned a lot, and I think that they took home a lot as well. So I wanted to give you all an update on that.
That's good. That's good. The inspectors have got to be the backbone of all of these meetings.
And I got to meet them all. I hadn't met them all yet, and so it was really great to put their names with faces because I've spoken to all of them on numerous occasions, but I hadn't gotten to meet them. So,
I have a question.
sure,
Did you ever, you probably never had a chance to meet Sherry Harris?
I did
From
not.
Northern Tennessee.
She retired.
Yeah, retired. Who's taken her?
Her name is
Her area.
Melissa Hudson. And so she has taken over that area, and they had restructured their areas back in the summer to make it more even, and I just recently got a printout from in the administrative offices upstairs. They have a GPS mapping software that shows me how many shops each inspector has per their area, and it goes, I think, from 1,601 to about 700 or 800, so I'm not sure that it's evenly spread. The problem is the ones with the lesser shops have a bigger area because they're more rural, and the ones that have more shops are in more dense areas like Davidson County and Shelby County. So it just depends. So we're looking at maybe re-identifying their areas in order to make it a little more even, and also using this mapping software to show them which shops they've gone to, when, where. We're going to try to help them with their workload in order to make sure each shop gets inspected annually.
How many inspectors
That's
do
great.
we have all total?
10.
How many?
10.
10. And they ought to cover 5,500 shops,
No.
right?
They have, between the cosmetology and barber shops, I think the most that one inspector has for the full year is 1,600. So,
That's in West Tennessee.
yes, I believe so.
Okay, that name again.
Melissa Hudson. Yes. And she right now is Clarksville and Upper West. So,
Larry Chapman, he had East Tennessee, is that correct?
yes, Chattanooga, I believe, is
Yeah,
his
Chattanooga.
area. So, the meeting went well. They are looking forward to the mapping software, and I also think that we're updating them with newer technology. We have ordered some iPhones for them in order to allow them the navigation the iPhone 4S has with maps in order to show them the best way to get from shop to shop. And we're hoping this helps them efficiently reduce mileage and prepare their workload for the week as well.
So what area does Biddle cover other than, does he cover the entire Shelby County?
Yes, he only has Shelby County.
Okay, he only has Shelby County. Shelby County is a big county anyway, so.
Yes, it is. He
Yeah.
actually has the biggest workload.
Okay. I see him from time to time. Yeah. And he looks like he's always running.
He is. He's very
Always.
busy.
Okay.
Okay. The only other thing I had was the Barber pole trademark renewal. This was supposed to be renewed back in 2008, and it wasn't done properly. Thus, it was rejected, and the Barber Board no longer has the trademark on the Barber pole. Is this something that the board wants to continue?
By all means.
Yes, I would think so.
Yeah.
Okay. If y'all can motion to reapply to the Barber pole, if you all can make a motion to complete a new service mark trademark application to file with the Tennessee Secretary of State in order to apply for this mark, we can complete the application and request the check in order to do so.
Okay, we need a motion.
Make a motion that we complete the application for service on the barber pole renewal as soon as possible. Yesterday.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
The only thing that bothers me about that, I thought that was a registered trademark.
Well, I
That
did.
was
was.
back in 1991, 1891.
Was registered in July of 1929, and it expired in 2008 when the application wasn't properly renewed.
Expired in the state of Tennessee.
Well, it expired from the Barber Board. Okay.
Okay.
In
That's-
other words, without that, anybody can put a barber pole.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, right.
We got this
Dude.
problem in Murfreesboro.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, we have a cosmetologist over there acting as a barber, advertising as a barber, has a barber pole in front of their shop.
As soon as we get this renewed, then we can take action.
No barber license, no nothing.
Yeah. Okay, is that everything?
That's everything.
Do we have any other miscellaneous?
I have something I want to, a couple of things. One is I want to thank the board for your support. My wife was ill last month. I wasn't able to be here. So I want to thank you for that. Then also, there's a gentleman in Memphis, had a birthday, turned 80 years old. His name is Warren Lewis. And you may remember him because he was on several shows, Jay Leno's show, a couple of shows, and he's the barber that likes to take the candle and burn the ends off your hair.
Yeah.
Okay, and they had a big celebration for him in Memphis, and he turned 80, and he's still cutting. He's still
You
cutting.
kind of got to watch your hair off when they put
Oh,
that
yeah.
candle on there, don't you?
And several people was interested in learning the technique, but I don't think anybody pick them up on that. I certainly won't want you to fire around my hair, but anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. That they had a big celebration for him, and he's been cutting probably about 63, 64 years. So yeah, so yeah,
Okay.
he's on the internet, right?
Is he anywhere out by Chelsea?
He's on Chelsea. That's where his shop is located, on Chelsea. He's been there forever. Forever.
Any further miscellaneous?
I want to mention that.
Larry and I were just talking, we got a serious problem with cosmetology schools teaching barbering.
Teaching barbering.
And they're openly teaching barbering. They're openly advertising that they're teaching barbering. They're advertising in their phone books under the barber schools and under barber shops. And there seems to be nothing we can do about it.
Okay, what is the, is
Are there
there
not
a
being
law,
anything done about it?
rule, or both
Yeah.
in regard to the, and we might need to give you time to research this.
Sure. I believe that only licensed barber schools are allowed to teach barbering, and every year a board member and an inspector goes in, and I haven't heard of any evidence of such. This is my first.
Well, Larry said Virginia College in Chattanooga has 4 or 5 chairs set up, and this is where they teach the barbering. There's a school in Clarksville called Austin's, and they openly advertise that they teach barbering. You go down there and put in an application for cosmetology, and they said, did you want cosmetology or barbering? Or did you want both?
Okay, that's something we need to look into then.
I would say that they may have the dual license. where
No, they don't have dual license.
No, they don't have.
No.
An instructor who does.
They can't have a dual license in the same building.
I'll
They have to
have-
have 2 separate schools.
I can look. It's my understanding that if you're completing an application, on your application, you have to have your education certified. And if it's not a barber school, I wouldn't think that the application would be approved with a certified education from a cosmetology school.
They don't certify these people. They certify them in cosmetology, but they claim they're teaching barbering.
And they're making revenue.
And they're making revenue off the barber haircuts and beard trims.
Right.
But if they're not becoming licensed barbers, cosmetologists aren't allowed to shave. I'm not
Really?
sure. Well, they're not allowed to razor shave. No.
Really?
99.
Yes, they're
I mean,
not.
I know it says that, but they're doing it every day.
Well, if an inspector catches one, they're writing a notice of violation.
My recommendation would be that we submit a copy to every Barber College and every cosmetology school in the state of Tennessee that what they are allowed to do and what they are not allowed to do. That we cannot step over into the cosmetology field, they cannot step over into the barber field because they're not licensed for that. That would be my recommendation.
Would you prefer that we start with these 2 suspected schools and do a little investigation before we send formal? That there's just quite a few schools, and for budgeting reasons, that's a chunk to send a certified letter to every school.
Well, you got Belmont and Clarksville, you got Austin's and Clarksville that are doing it. You've got Virginia and Chattanooga and whoever else down there's doing it now because they're doing it.
Right.
And they're getting, these big schools are getting away with it.
And then once the other schools see them getting away with it, they'll start doing it.
Yeah.
What about,
I'm just not sure if cosmetology curriculum includes a variable of things, as
There's Barber.
as does barbering. I guess my concern here is they're not using any hours that they teach towards the barbering license, so they're not getting that benefit. If you wanted to offer personally a class, Mr. JB wanted to teach a class on barbering, but those hours don't go towards your curriculum, then that's not something we regulate.
Ralph, what?
No, they don't advertise that you can get a barber license.
Yeah, but they advertise that they do that they are teaching.
Right, and
So,
we don't
I think that's the
regulate
problem.
if they're not getting hours towards the curriculum, then we don't regulate that. Does that make sense? So if I wanted to offer a class on how to paint nails, but it's not going towards my cosmetology hours in education, I'm not getting credit hours towards a license for that, I'm not regulated by the board.
But you're taking your credit hours away from permanent wave or haircutting to do that.
Well, they're required to teach the curriculum hours as is, and they're supposed to be teaching those curriculum hours. Now, if they're going over and above by teaching other things, that's fine.
If I'm in cosmetology class for that day, which is 8 hours, and they teach barbering, even though they're not teaching cosmetology, those hours are going to go towards my cosmetology, I guarantee you. They're going to put those hours, apply those hours towards your cosmetology. I guarantee you.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with demonstrations in schools. The thing that I have a problem with is them advertising that they're barbers when they're not. They're advertising in their school that they teach barbering, and they're not. I mean, they are. They go down and get $7.95 set of cards and start chopping hair with them.
I'm not
And Wayne
sure.
did the same thing.
What do you think we could do, though, to prevent this?
I don't think that we regulate their advertisements.
I believe it says in the book that false advertisement is against the law.
Yeah.
Does it not?
Give me a minute. I'll look. I'm not claimed to always be right.
Well, I
Me
want
either.
to,
I
while
just
you're
read it
looking, I want to take this
somewhere.
time to commend you for taking over this operation. Now, you're not listening.
I'm sorry. I was looking.
And I want to take this time to commend you for your taking over the responsibilities of your job, the running the office, delving into the aspects of barbering and cosmetology. You've done a wonderful job of stepping in just and taking over immediately in a situation that was really critical.
Well, thank you very much. The board office has been substantial help. They are all wonderful. They all really work hard and get their job done. And administration has been fantastic with helping me juggle everything as well. So I can't take all the credit by any means. I have not done it all alone. I would not have been able to do it all alone.
Well, above all, keeping 5 men straight.
Hossam is phenomenal as well.
This situation about the schools and the colleges might require some in-depth study of the rules and laws. Would you like for this to be deferred until our next meeting?
Sure. That would be great. That way I can look into advertising and, okay, let me get a good stance on, we want to look into regulation of cosmetology schools.
There again, this goes back to my 2,200 hours. Let cosmetologist schools hire barber instructors, let them teach barbering. And for 2,200 hours.
So I'll look into the regulation of cosmetology
Barber
schools
schools,
advertising.
continue
Ralph,
barber
listen,
schools. I'm listening.
she's telling you what she's going to look into.
I'm listening.
See if you want to add anything, or
I'll look into the regulation of cosmetology schools advertising and teaching barbering.
now, Ralph, we look to you as the expert when it comes to schools, so you need to give her input if there's anything else that needs to be looked into.
Yeah, it's, of course, we've had this advertising thing with barber, with cosmetologists, advertising on the barbers.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you got a town that's got 5 barber shops in it, and you got 25 advertisements under barbers. Well, you know that's wrong.
I think the problem arises because there's so much overlap in the areas, because barbers can cut just like cosmetologists can cut, and the origins and the history is completely different, but you know, modernization of the fields have really mixed, and your problem flows in the real big differences are razor shaving and pedicuring of the feet. And you know, if I could go to you know, my husband could go to a cosmetologist and get a haircut. She doesn't razor shave anything. The same way he could go to a barber and get a haircut, he's not going to be razor shaving for what he's requesting. And I think that shows the evolution of the occupations. And I think that's where, you know, it's really hard to say, you know, you can't do this and you can't do that when there's such a...
That's the reason I say we need to extend the hours and join it together. And I think you'll find every school owner in the state of Tennessee that is 100% for it. I've did some research with Utah, Colorado, West Virginia, Michigan, California. I've checked all of them. They have 21 to 2,200 hours in every state. They have a cosmetologist / barber. Then they have a barber.
Well, combining the boards and
combine
combining
boards.
the curriculums is a hot topic. When we had our sunset review hearing, the legislators, I don't know, Mr. Loring was there representing the barber board, discussed how similar these two fields were and how a combination of the boards would make sense. Now, whether that happens, it has to be, you know, legislative action taken up on the Hill, and lots of laws have to be written. It's a big job for anyone to take on, and a combination of the boards would mean representation of both areas on one cumulative board. So
There's one big situation there. You've got 2 or 3 legislators that they've been prompted to say that the boards need to be combined. And probably that's a good idea, except for one thing. When it actually comes to the legislature, that's when all the barbers and the cosmetologists across the state decide to speak. And they get so much pressure not to do it, that's how it's been defeated up until now.
But now, everybody is seeing how it's
Yeah.
joining together and how it needs to.
But you won't
Yeah.
find a barber, you can go out and talk to the barbers,
Oh, yeah,
and you won't
the
find
barbers.
one out of 50 that want to combine the boards.
That's right.
All right.
That's
So,
exactly right.
you know, that's, and I'm not for or against either way, you know. But I'm just saying what has traditionally happened in the past.
Well, I agree with you, Jay, because, you know, I've been around these boards
Yeah.
now since 1965, and I've seen this. But I've also seen that it's time for Tennessee to step up, because if we got somebody coming from Colorado that has a dual license into the state of Tennessee, they have to give it up and now decide whether they're going to be a barber or a cosmetologist. So now if they were military and they have to leave the state of Tennessee and go somewhere else, they've lost their dual license, and now
Ralph,
they
you
have a
were
single license.
talking about 2,200 hours. Now, what is your proposal, and if the schools agree to it, how can we get that started?
Okay, well, 2,200 hours is a combination of 1,500 hours of cosmetology and 750 hours of barbering, or vice versa, as we have now.
Yeah.
Okay, so by joining it together and taking a barber instructor and putting them in a cosmetology school, or taking a cosmetology school and putting her in a barber school that wants to do that
Yeah.
2,200-hour program, it's what we're going to have to do. And then we have a curriculum now for the 750-hour program, which we could merge with the 1,500-hour program. And actually, for 2,100 hours, we could do this.
Okay, what would it take to accomplish this? Rules, laws,
Very little. It's not as
or
difficult as it
combining the
sounds.
boards?
There would
Well-
still be two boards, right?
You can still have two boards, but I'm for combining the boards for the fact that it will save the state money. It'll save us money, it'll save the state money. You only have to rent this room once a month instead of twice a month.
Well, it's probably vacant most of the time anyway.
Probably is, but we have to pay rent on it every time we
Yeah.
use it, you know, as a board.
Yeah.
Whether it be cosmetology board or barber board, we have to pay rent on it each time we use it. I think it would save money there. The number of board meetings would be half of what we have now. There again, saving money. And the fact that we would be,
How would the board meetings be in half?
well, you don't
if
have to
you
have
could-
one meeting. You're with a combined board.
Well, yeah, you're talking,
Yeah, I'd say with a combined board.
right.
But
Yeah.
the fact that you give a barber license, that would be for anybody who just wants to barber. And there's a lot of people out there who don't want to do nothing but cut hair. I got them in my barber school. They don't want to do nothing but cut bald fades and even all overs. That's all they want to do the rest of their life.
Well, do you think they'd be opposed or
They'd be
for
for it.
combining the board, or do they even think that?
They don't really care,
Yeah,
one way or another, just as long as they get to barber.
yeah.
People who work around
Well-
military installations that are doing nothing but
Well-
barbering, that's all they want to do is barber.
You know, the reason I'm questioning some of these things is that if we can do anything to provide better service, then we could start taking action, whether it be rule changes, whether it be law changes, going to the legislature,
Well,
whatever. If we think something could be done better, then of course the
here's a school.
first
right-
thing is
here's a
to
school-
get it to the administration.
Here's a school right here, is a barber school. It would be an enhancement for him if he could hire a cosmetology teacher and teach a combination product in his school compared to where he's sitting now as barber only and fighting with the board over what he's teaching.
Okay, how would you get started now?
How would you get started? Well, I would take the two curriculums and merge them together. Okay?
But would you need, do you think you need any publicity to start out with to see how it's will be accepted.
Well,
And-
I have talked to schools from Memphis.
You don't want to get into anything, you know, if you're going to have a lot of opposition.
I've talked to school owners from Memphis to Chattanooga, and every one of them is for it.
Okay.
Every school owner.
Then
I've
we
talked
can
to.
ask our attorney maybe to research it,
Well,
to how to get started.
you would have that. It's more intertwining of the fields. You know, the
Yeah.
cosmetology board governs cosmetology schools and what cosmetology can do, and the barber board governs what barbers can do. And I think that the resolution to that is combining the boards
That's
because
right.
The barber board doesn't want the cosmetology board members coming in their school looking at what they can and can't do, and the barber board doesn't want, the cosmetology board likely wouldn't want barber board members coming into their schools and saying this is what you can and can't do. And because of the laws, there has to be changes in order to make that into effect. One, curriculum changes, those are statutory, and two, you know, who is allowed to teach in these schools, and that has to be something that's proposed, you know, up on the hill to the legislatures, and that's not something as legal counsel I can do. The board has to do that.
We need an administrator. Bad.
I have a question. What is wrong with what we're doing now?
I don't think there's anything wrong
Cosmetology
with
is working good, barbers are working good.
That's right.
Why combine?
Joe,
Well,
it
we already-
is in
we're
the
doing
barber
good.
shops. It is working good in just the barber shops. It's not working good in the style shops. It's not working good in the barber schools that are competing with the cosmetology schools in small town areas.
Yeah, but your style shops come about between barbers and cosmetologists. Before, there was cosmetologists and barbers. Now you got style shops.
If you still
doing
had
everything.
just cosmetologists over here and barbers over here, it would be okay.
Those are
But
style
it's
shops.
here now, they've all met in the middle.
Those are the style shops. They're in between. They want to do. They don't know what they want to do. One or the other. Or they want to do both. Now, when you go up on the hill to make the decision, people up on the hill don't know a thing about barbering, about cosmetology. They're gonna make the decision. Leave it like it is. Until if there's a problem with it, do something about it. But I don't see any problem.
How's it Colorado and Idaho and all them do?
Well, they're not Tennessee.
I mean, how did they do it?
They're working well there. If they come to Tennessee, they got to follow our rules.
Process of getting it through the legislature.
How many barbers do we have in the state of Tennessee though?
4,500,
And how many cosmetologists?
65.
65,000.
65,000, 5,000.
Let's see,
Something's wrong.
30,000 in the garages, 10,000 in the basements.
You got about maybe 5,000 in the kitchen. But now here's the thing that, and I have talked with Mrs. Pete in Memphis. I've talked with Taurus Brooks, who has a school in Memphis as well as in Jackson. Their issue is, if I understand it correctly, and I've sat down with both of them and several times and talked about this issue of combining the boards, and their issue is, yes, they would love to be able to teach cosmetology, but what that does is it enhances their business. Now my position is, I would prefer, and I've been a barber for over 45 years, I would prefer to let the barber board stay like it is, the cosmetology stay like it is, simply because my problem is not trying to enhance or make better what we got. I feel like what would make it better, and I've shared it with Ms. Pete and Mr. Brooks, that we've got to have better students coming out of school. I see barbers coming out of school, can't cut a lick, don't know anything about sanitation.
That's right.
And they come and pass the exams, and some of them have answers written on their palms. We've even had a case here where somebody had an answer on a cell phone because they're not properly being trained.
Right.
So my problem is this. Now, I'm not saying that you all schools are not training them, but there's a number of schools out there that's not. And my issue is, and it's been my issue from day one. Until we get qualified students taking the exam and becoming barbers and learning what's being taught in school, then I think that's the big problem we have.
Until
I don't know
this-
what the common college is dealing with, but I do
I
know
understand
personally-
where you're coming from.
I do know personally. I've hired barbers, and they were not able to stay in my salon. I let them go.
I hired 30 one time, fired all of them.
Because first of all,
Fired all
number
over.
one was they was not able to cut. Number two was they did not have a clear understanding of sanitation. And number three was they did not have a clear understanding of how being a professional. I had a young man come to my salon and smelled like marijuana. And he thought that was okay.
Probably just throw his joint down before he come in the door.
That's
They do that at school too.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Until the schools can get better students.
But how you gonna do that though, Ralph? How you gonna get because you can't really
You
deny
cannot-
somebody that want to come to school.
You can't make a silk purse out of a salad.
I know, but you can't turn them
Let
around
me
and do
tell
it. They
you, we
want to come
get
there.
salad every day.
Right.
And there's no way. We can't pull their britches up. We have to go behind them, pull your britches up. You know,
I'm not
and
speaking.
that's a constant battle every day.
I know.
Who's responsible?
I'm not speaking of all schools in the state of Tennessee, but these schools have got to be held more accountable as far as teaching these students. And then, that's why I'm a firm believer that we need to go back to that apprenticeship. After the students have finished school, they need to become under an apprenticeship program, working under a master barber for at least 2 years in order to know how to run a shop. And I totally disagree with this board merging with the cosmetology board. I totally disagree.
Did you have an opportunity to look into those
No,
two items? One was about the number of hours that the barber, if someone go to barber school and say they complete 500 hours, well, they can be out of school for 5, 6, maybe 10 years. They still go back and reclaim those hours. But that, and I had brought that up, and we need to stop that.
We were making a rule change on our rules that were proposed that you all had approved in
Right.
order to institute a 7-year expiration of the hours.
Right.
So
Right.
we have formulated that. I have not gotten around to filing those, and it is my personal fault that we haven't set our notice of rulemaking hearing yet, being is that I'm doing so much right now. I've fallen behind on the rulemaking.
That's okay.
But yes, it is
Okay.
in the works on that.
Because that's critical for us too. And also, as Mr. Howard was saying about the apprenticeship license, we need to look into that.
Apprenticeship.
The apprenticeship
Apprenticeship.
would need to be a statutory change. I
Right.
think it was something that was previously in the laws that had been removed. And I thought when I was out, the month that I was out, Miss Betty proposed that information to you all, that it would be a statutory change.
So that means what?
Previously,
We need to get it started.
right. You'll have to.
yeah.
The board will have to go to the Hill to propose those statutory changes in the Barber Act.
Okay.
That's something else that I.
Yeah, who would draw up the proposed legislation?
It would have to be somebody in one of the representatives' office. It's
Okay.
not anything that legal counsel for the board is allowed to do.
Okay, so if you want a
Board administrator.
apprentice program, we need to get a senator. Well, of course, you need a senator and a representative to get the bill drawn up and get all the support they can get. You
Our
need the
board-
Senate
our
bill
board
and the House
administrator.
bill.
Our board administrator has always been the one to draw up those.
The who?
Board administrator.
So who is that though, Ralph? Board administrator?
We don't have one.
Oh, okay.
Well, it really,
Well, Ms.
maybe
Barnes,
it has been, but you can get a senator or a representative, and they can get the bill drawn up. If you tell them, if you're close enough to your senator or representative, then you tell them what you want, they'll get it drawn up, and then we have to support it.
Any of these representatives, because they do this every single
Yeah.
day, there's their job, would have much more experience and expertise in drawing up something like that than a board administrator would have.
Yeah.
I guarantee it, just because it's what they do every day.
This gentleman wants to say something.
Could you come
Yeah.
up to the microphone?
And
Frank Blair.
Yeah.
And both introduce yourself and your.
Melissa Fletcher, my wife.
Yes.
We own Mr. Wayne Barber School,
Located where?
Cookville.
Cookville, Tennessee.
What Mr. Raff's talking about is about changing and putting the boards together and stuff like that, and they're making barber / cosmetologist, or cosmetologist / barber is called, I think, modernization. I think it's sort of moving with the times. We can either be left behind or we can go forward. We need to do one of the two. We're either going to be left behind or we're going to have to go forward. Because if some of these changes are not made and stuff and everything, Mr. Wayne's 33 years I've been in the school business is going to be going out of business. I'm getting ready to have to go out of business. So when I go out of business and we are not changing, making these modern changes and stuff, just when they put me in the ground and say, he tried.
Would you be willing to,
I'll be willing to do anything I can to stay alive.
well, write up recommended changes and send them to the board, and maybe we can get some other schools. And I think the consensus of combining the boards, like Larry says, you might favor it or you might not favor it, but it's going to be a hard push.
Right, I understand that.
To combine the board.
I understand that.
So
I've tried it before.
Yeah, that's right.
I've tried it before with representatives and state representatives and talked to, and I've had it put on the floor at the Capitol.
And it gets
stuff,
killed.
And all the cosmetologists and barbers, and mostly the cosmetologists, come up against us for wanting to do it.
That's right.
Because I had it
But
put on the
we
floor.
might get up some proposals, like a letter recommendations from your school, Ralph's school, and several others, and combine that into one proposal to take to a representative, a senator or a House representative. And of course, you need both of them if you're going to present a bill in the legislature.
I understand that.
And but that, in my opinion, that would be the way to get it started. If you're going to make any changes whatsoever.
Mr. Loring, I think the problem here is that unless the full board agrees in approval to propose it to a representative, that it just has to come individually from Mr. Wayne or Mr. Payne.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
And then it's no longer board business unless the full board agrees. And
Well,
I
that
think
was my objective, is if we get all these recommendations, then if the full board can agree or maybe modify, then get a senator or a House representative to push forward on it. But that's probably the only way you're going to get anything changed.
And I understand Larry's point because, I mean, Wayne is a barber to the core. I mean, and I have numerous students. Yet, they have to go down on their exam and they have to do permanent waving. They have to do color application. They have to do a manicure, partial manicure. They have to do a facial. They have to do a haircut. They're graded on all of that. So if those students are not being trained, like you said, we get calls daily from other schools that are not doing their jobs. Perhaps their cosmetology that want to transfer, and those hours cannot be transferred. Of course, you're always going to have that. But, I've always been about, if you're here to learn, if you don't want to be here, you're paying, or the government's paying, the door is that way. And I believe that,
Mm-hmm. Well,
So, I'm very strict regardless of whether we're accredited and we have, federal aid or whatever. But if you want to get your barber instructor test, you have to study out of a book that has cosmetology.
To be a barber instructor.
Well,
And it's just like we go down every 2 years and we all sit in a class with barber and cosmetologist. And usually there's at one point it gets heated or somebody this and that and the other, but I'm not sure, but I would be glad to be on a committee with, as far as curriculum, like you said, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just know
I think, in my opinion, one good way to get started is, like our attorney said, you got to have a consensus of the board.
Right.
So number one would be you and Ralph, if you could notify other good schools to send a letter of recommended changes to improve the profession.
And you know how they're passing their test? They're getting the PSI booklet and they're going right down through there, and all day long, or so they have no clients, so they're doing mock state boards.
Yeah. Well,
And you know, that's okay, that's great, you know, but I mean,
It's gonna take more than that to make a living.
yeah. Well, and then if we can get these recommendations in from the better schools, then the board could take up the recommendations as a whole. If I'm sure that we could on meeting day we could stay for another 2 or 3 hours,
right.
you know, and hash out. And like the attorney says, we've got to get a consensus of the board.
Right, so
We're not gonna
but
move.
there's no need of, Mr. Lauren, is there any need of us trying to go through the letter, the recommendation, and everything, if the board, we're sitting right here, I mean, if it's going to hit a wall and get knocked down, then there's no need to present it.
Well, you're never going to know till you try.
That's
And
true, too.
once you get these recommendations in, I'm sure the board members will agree and disagree on some of them, you know. But if we can come to a consensus of the majority of the recommendations, and if everybody can see that it's an improvement to the profession, then you probably will get a consensus that you can take to the Senate and the House.
I mean, there would be nothing better than someone from my school working under, or working with Donald, you got Mr. Donald?
That's fine.
Or Larry, or Ralph, or, well, you know, whoever that's,
Well, and it's probably,
Joe.
it might be a little too late to get it into this legislature. This term, they'll start in the middle of January, but I don't know whether you could get the schools to forward enough information.
Well, I know Crossville will.
Well, we've got a December meeting, don't we?
Yes.
We've got a December meeting.
There's already 3 schools in Nashville that have written letters, and I've got them in my briefcase.
Okay.
And I've got
Well,
mine.
we can take it up, at our December board meeting and go over all of this and try to get a consensus of what we want.
Right.
I mean, we have to compete also now with Great Clips, that's right down the road,
Uh-huh.
with Sports Clips. And, you know, they're walking in and getting a 10-minute haircut.
For $21.
Yeah, well, that depends on if you get the shampoo and you get that and all this, but yes.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, let's
What were you saying?
it's got to be up to you and Ralph to contact these other schools and get them to submit recommendations before our next board meeting. And the next board meeting is what, the third Monday in the month?
I'll give that in
So,
It's not in December.
The nostrils that you had today, were y'all remember?
Yes, we have not gotten formal approval for that yet. We're still waiting on it. So as soon as it's published, you can get a copy. Next time, if you'll request to appear on the agenda, that way you're on the agenda as noted, that would be beneficial.
I didn't know about it
Oh.
until yesterday.
Okay. Okay, Ralph,
Clear.
are you in
Yes.
agreement with that? And
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Larry,
yeah.
Wayne?
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll take it up at our next board meeting. and try to draw a consensus. And then if we come to an agreement, then it'll be up to one of the board members or more to find a senator that they're close to and a person in the House of Representatives to push this for legislation in the next session, which starts in January. And I don't know how soon you've got to get your proposal in to get it on the docket. There's a cutoff date, I know that.
Yeah, I remember it.
So-
What were you gonna say?
Anyway, and this apprenticeship, you know, that needs to be in
That
there.
needs to be put in there too.
Yeah.
This great clip, that's not a school, that's just a barber shop, right?
That's
Right.
Okay.
That's,
But it's-
the thing about the apprenticeship too, most of the people that's coming into my school and stuff and wanting to go to school, they go to Cotton School, they got a Cotton School, they go open their own shop and salon, right?
Yeah.
That's why the law.
So
was
if
big.
if I got people that's coming to my school and wanting to go to school, and they say I want to go to shops or I want to shop and shop, and I get out and everything, and I open shop, and I say, well, no, you can't. So they go, and they go to the Cotton School. So that's going to hurt me on
And
my.
that's the reason for
That's going to hurt
that's
me
the
on my.
reason.
That's going to hurt me on my enrollment.
That's one reason that the apprenticeship was taken out.
Yes.
We definitely need the apprenticeship, we definitely need.
I had a barber
I
shop.
believe.
I had a barbershop, Mr. Larry, over by Tennessee Tech, done a lot of haircuts, a lot of shampooing, styling, cutting, flat top, clip cuts, everything. And I had to go and hire a barber and pay him $75 a week or so much of it, more than that, $175 a week, to sit in that shop and hang his license up so my people that's getting out of school could go in there and work. And he didn't even have no clientele. He just hung his license and sat in there and didn't do nothing. And all my people that went to work there were working around him. His license was hanging up.
See, you know, in the past, I saw the results from barbers working under master barbers when they was under this apprenticeship program. They became better barbers. They understood how to actually run a shop. It's so much involved in this that these kids are actually missing when they're coming straight out of barber college to open up their own shop. They're
And
missing too much.
also, they were going to JCP, like, for example, Penny's.
Yeah.
And they were like, we can't, are you a master barber? And, we can't hire you. And, now we have one girl that went to school there that's been there for probably 20, 25 years, or whenever the law was passed. So that's the downside of it. That's why I think it was eventually, I think that a lot of people, they abused the deal about the apprenticeship. I mean, not abused it, but they used it to they didn't really use it to learn.
But there is an upside to it because I'm a product of it.
I'm a product.
When I went to Barber
Exactly.
school,
I'm a product.
when I went to Barber
You know
school,
what
there
I
was
think
apprenticeship.
replaced that?
And what happens is,
Yes.
what happened is, I was able to learn how to be a professional barber.
That's right.
Learn those cuts, learn how to conduct myself in that shop. And so because of that, I've been in business over 45 years.
Right.
So what I'm saying is there's always an upside to everything. Everything is not going to be exactly the way we want it to be. But if we was able to get that apprenticeship license back into the barber business, certainly it may have an effect on some people may say, well, I don't want to go to the apprenticeship, I may want to go to the contract. That's fine. But if you really want to be a barber, and we've seen it here in these meetings, we've had people come in and a couple of young men stood up and said, I just want to be a barber. So there are some people who just really want to be a barber.
Right.
And if that's the case, they will do that.
That's right.
Go through that apprenticeship license and learn, because when you come out of barber school,
Most of them, I feel like, though,
when they come out of barber school, they're not where I am in terms of my skills.
That's right.
And so they're coming out with the same license that I have. And so when they come out and they get into these professional salons, Okay, and people are coming in there in the salon, and if I'm charging $20 for a haircut, they're expecting to get a $20 haircut. They're not expecting to get a haircut out of Bible school.
Are you
You
going
understand what I'm saying
to
now?
be able to
So-
help them with doing
so-
a manicure and show
Well-
them how to roll a piggyback perm or a spiral perm?
Well, I'm not doing that in my salon.
But I'm saying
but-
you're a master barber.
I am.
And therefore, are you going to train these people that's come out of school that are doing perms and?
Well, I'm a master barber, and in my salon, I do texturizers, I do perms, I do colors, I do all of that, and I have hired barbers out of school, and I have perfectly taught them how to do that.
That's good.
Okay, now I do have a nail salon next door to me that I own, and I have a beauty salon, and so what I'm trying to say to you is. There's always an upside to whatever downside you want to put it.
There's an upside
But
there.
if we bring in the apprenticeship license, I guarantee you, it would help out the barber industry because we would have better barbers. They would not be in the kitchen cutting hair. They would not be in the garage cutting hair. They would do
in the
that.
kitchen cutting hair. Cosmetologists, all them cosmetologists over there cutting hair in the kitchen and the living rooms and stuff like that. If you want to hurt my enrollment and cut my enrollment down, throw that apprenticeship in there. You'll
Well,
see-
I don't intend to cut your enrollment at all.
It'd cut my enrollment out. So if you want to cut mine
I
out,
don't think your business would be cut at all. I mean, you've been in business for so long. If your enrollment get cut, that's on you, not on this Bible board.
Well, I think we can also
No, the Bible
get
was on you.
letters from former graduates that went right out of school and were prepared through their training to open financially and skills and are still in business 20 years from now. They're sending people to our school. But what I think has come about, the apprenticeship has gone to working at a salon as an assistant
yeah.
for so many months. It's in the Redkin program and whatever. In other words, you're under this person and you're getting paid, but you're doing a lot and watching.
When I was under the apprenticeship program, I had to work in this professional salon under this master barber. He was not paying me a salary. I was there renting his chair.
Right.
And so I had to perform just like everybody else in that salon. But the difference is that I had to watch him and he had to watch me, and he personally watched me and guided me along the way. By the time that time expired on that apprenticeship license, I was a master barber.
Okay,
Then when you got ready to go for your
We-
master license,
It was a breeze.
he had to do
Yeah.
the
But the
recognition.
we've had a lively discussion, and I understand the state don't pay double time.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
right now, my suggestion would be that we get these letters of recommendation in from as many schools, good schools, as we can, and at our December meeting, and if you can, be here at that meeting, because after the, and under other business, we'll bring that up, and we'll get into apprenticeships and everything, and it might be we can't get a consensus, and if not, then we certainly don't want to go to the legislature without it, but we'll try to iron these things out, come to a consensus to be able to move forward. So with that,
I think with the 2250, just one more thing, it's still going to go like we are now. They're going to say, I want to be a barber.
well, it could be,
Or
but we still,
I want to
yeah.
go to a full service salon.
yeah.
It's just they're going to be there for longer and more hours, but they're still going to be, you know.
Yeah.
I just want to cut hair and do men
Well,
and
Yeah,
and
there needs to be a
to
license for
overcome
that.
these things, we've got to have that in the recommendations of what to do. So anyway,
but the test
We-
is not going to be that different as far as the test.
well, we don't know till we get all this ironed out as to how we're going to end up with getting the schools maybe to change their curriculum and everything.
They'll have to shave and cut out the hair.
Yeah, but anyway,
Yes,
we've had a good lively discussion, and the December meeting now It's when we'll either kick this off or we'll forget it. So
Utah has got a great.
anyway, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
An extra $500.
We all in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. You know, I was trying to think.
Did you have something else to